Officiell. Klappe.
So, in the last 2 weeks you were touring through East Europe, and what we would like to know, were there any differences, for example, to Germany of the crowd? Do they react different, or did you already had one tour highlight? Things like that.
I find that my fans, wherever I perform, they all react very similarly. They all behave quite similar. Some places are a little bit more reserved, but Eastern Europeans are pretty fiery people. Germans, I don't want to say they're as like crazy as the Eastern Europeans, but they definitely get into it a lot. Like if I say, put your hands up, everyone puts their hands up in Germany. Like this, everyone just does it. Like it's not like, so people are very more, I guess they're more in the moment in Germany, whereas Eastern Europeans, they might act a bit more cool, but they'll go crazy if they, you know what I mean? It's got that more
extremes.
Okay. But I think, you know, German, I think being an Anglo-Saxon person myself, you know, like I guess it's like I can see that more. So I mean, I'm half Italian, so I have the Latino blood, but I've also got the Anglo-Saxon blood because my dad, you know, my dad's side is all white English, and it's all comes from the same region. So I've got that same very I'm exactly half, and I'm a Gemini, so I'm half like crazy Latino and half like structured, you know, German style almost.
That's very interesting. So your roots, your really roots are settled in Europe, situated here.
Yeah, my mum. So my mum's side is all of Italy. My dad is grown up in Australia, but his, you know, because we came from originally.
Oh, weird, wow, a crazy language.
But that's like maybe 6 generations.
Okay.
Okay, and so with this background, was this one of the reasons why you came to Europe in 2006 and traveled and lived in your car?
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
I came actually originally to visit my mum in Italy, and also because I was sick of Australia. Like I was in lots of different bands in Australia, and I was trying to. I guess I had a reggae band, I had a jazz band, I had a heavy metal band, I was doing a hip hop band, I was doing acoustic solo stuff in bars, and I was also emceeing with DJs over techno and house in the clubs, and I was doing that from when I was like 17 to like 22, and then I couldn't feel like I was getting anywhere with it, and my mum was like, come to Europe, and I was like, yeah, why not? Wow. But what I was thinking was going to happen was that I'd come to Europe, and it was always my dream to street perform. It was always going to be something that I was going to do at some point. So I thought maybe if I do it, because I was trying at that time as well, I was trying to get signed by a record label because I wanted to be a pop star like Justin Timberlake or you know, Maroon 5 or something. I just wanted. Oh, thank you. But I wasn't like trying to be super commercial. I just wanted to be on MTV. I thought that was my dream as a teenager. And then, you know, and then when I got to Europe and I started street performing, I thought, well, maybe if I do a year of street performing, I'll have all this amazing experience and stories, and I'll be able to write a big album that'll be huge, you know? And that was the idea. But then when I started street performing, it sort of just started to happen. And it was because of the street performing and because I was trying not to do pop product. I wasn't trying to make a product, I was trying to make art on the street. I just wanted to find, and through that I realized I don't need to try and be like a pop star. I just need to be myself, and that was my whole pilgrimage, you know, learning and becoming.
Trusting yourself.
So there was one special moment for you in your life where you had the feeling, so now I made my decision to become a musician, or was it always a feeling that you had inside and just to figure this out?
Luckily for me, my parents or my family never told me that it was not a possibility. You know, there was never any of that. Her mum told her, you can't be a musician, you know, whereas my dad though, his mum was like, you can do whatever you want, you can be an actor, you can be a musician. And so all my dad's brothers and sisters, they're all artists. So one's an actor, another one's a musician, another one she's a tap dance teacher.
One of them played with you on the new album.
That's right, Justin. He's the musician, he's a percussionist. He also owns a club now in Melbourne, and he plays every night in his own club. And another uncle is a photographer. But even on my mum's side, my mum writes songs and she plays music, and her brother, he plays piano in a church. So there's music on all my uncles and aunties and parents.
Wow.
basically.
Music was always there for you.
Yeah, I wasn't good at anything else, basically. You know what I mean? And I'm not really good at anything else, really.
Yeah, but hey, you're really good at music.
That's enough,
So
right?
You
Yeah.
made a good decision. And so to stay on this topic, we also realized that you're on tour again with a band. So I saw MDV and also Not Even. Please tell us a little bit about these two guys, who they are and what they are doing.
So before I was DubFX and I was in all those different bands, these guys were musicians that I played with. So we've known each other
You already met and
for a long time. In fact, I used to have a band called Soundwaves, and it was like a freestyle jazz, sort of like you do Swag Jam.
Oh yeah.
No, I used to do something very similar to that. Those guys are doing a more future soul hip hop thing with that kind of J Dilla style things.
Yeah.
We weren't doing that, but it was more like the idea was we jammed for like 2 hours on stage, and it was all hip hop, reggae, jazz, basically. And these guys were in that band. I had lots of different musicians that I would, but it was my band, but I would get different bass players. But I always wanted to work with those guys. And yeah, there's other guys as well that I want to work with as well that I know from that time. They're all, even the Cat Empire, you know the Cat Empire?
Yeah.
They're a really big band in Australia, but I used to jam with those guys. They used to come to the jams. I used to go to their jams, so we're all part of the same network.
And the same like the network here in Berlin.
Yeah.
So the musicians in Berlin,
They
there's
all
so many
mix
corners
together.
going on.
Yeah, it's connecting and grow.
And we also saw Kate here when we came in, and what would be very interesting to know, you are still independent as a musician, and this is what I really like, that you don't have a big label on your side, but you're working together with the Convoy music group, and it would be interesting to know a little bit more about this, so what they are doing and how they also support you in your way.
Well, actually, yeah, Convoy is my label, and I pretty much I run that. Kate is he's more the agent, or he's my manager, but he organizes all the logistics to do with the touring and all the we also got a distribution deal through Membran, which is a German label. They're a German, I guess you could call them a large independent label. They basically do jazz, world, and sort of classical. Jazz, world, and classical. That's what they specialize in.
Whoa.
So so I think they're a great label because they're not commercial anyway. When they said, they wanted to sign me and have me to do a label, and I said, well, I do lots of different projects, so why don't you sign my label?
Yeah, that's it.
And then when anything I put out, and they were like, cool, whatever you want. Like they didn't say, like when I showed them the album, I was like, what do you think? They're like, whatever, it's fine. Whatever you want to do, it's fine.
You can do it.
Yeah, they totally trust me.
That's real independence.
That's totally independent. So I am actually sort of signed to, so my label is signed to Membran, but they're still a very uncommercial. They're not trying to put out a pop single. So that's fantastic for me. And it also means because they do jazz and world and classical music, that they have a lot of boutique record stores all over the world.
Wow.
So there are lots of vinyl. They do an amazing array of different kinds of things. And they're from Hamburg, so they're just very, very clever, very clean. Everything's very well organized.
Oh.
So they're a great
It
label.
has to be in the business.
So Cade now, he has to make sure that he's talking to the agency that we have, CAA, and he talks to Membran, and he makes sure that everything's working correct. And all I have to do is focus on music and just create whatever I want.
And that's also enough, because the tour is very long, like we also talked, and so the last concert will be on 30th of December this year. But do you also have any plans for next year?
Not yet, except for having a child. That's the only plan I have.
Yes, we heard also so far, and really congratulations, man. This will be such a big thing in your life, and the next step.
Yeah.
This is really something.
28th of January, I'm going to be a dad.
for this, maybe our last question. You live in a tree house in Melbourne. This is really exciting for me. And we as woodworkers, every time when we see pictures, it's like, oh, what a dream to live in. But for example, how does it feel when you write your songs, your lyrics, so close to nature, and then you come, for example, to Europe on stage in a very urban scenery and perform your naturally meditative songs on those two big stages. So for me, it's a kind of contrast.
Well, for one, I'll actually do a lot of my writing of my lyrics when I'm on the road. That's where most of my lyrics are written. Like, because I'm on a bus. Like today, I drove from Munich to Berlin, so it's just like write things down, and I make a lot of beats.
Rains.
Exactly. In fact, pretty much 90% of the lyrics from this album were written on the road. But then when we went back to Melbourne and I jammed with the musicians, Evan and Andy, in the studio amongst the trees, that's where we came up with all the music. So we kind of just jammed on different grooves and ideas, and then we'd go out, have a tea, sit out there, meditate with the trees for a little bit, then go back and sort of listen and kind of add more things. And I also added some lyrics, like the So Are You hook. I wrote that at home. I didn't write that on the road. So, but the verse I wrote on the road.
Okay.
But a lot of my songs, like sometimes, like in Road to Babylon, that's like track 2 on the album. The first verse, I wrote that on tour last year, and maybe even 2014 I wrote that. And then the second verse, I wrote that in 2002.
Whoa, yeah.
And it was in Cade's house. He had a studio, and he showed me this website. It was called rhymezone.com. And he was like, check this out for writing raps. It's so easy. I'm like, wow. Okay, so I was going on Rhymezone, and I wrote that verse, and it stayed on his computer for 10 years. Right? And then in 2012, he's like, hey, look at this. And I'm like, that's awesome. This is great.
That's what I was looking for.
So I kept it for another 4 years, and then I recorded it. Right?
You are your own ghostwriter.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's great.
Okay, so with your music, Ben, I have this since 2009. Since I saw the first videos on the net, there's something, the atmosphere you create, and also the message you have to tell. This is exactly what I also like to go for. And your new album, for example, I have the feeling that it's more focused on this way, but also more lovely energy, what you put around it. On the other hand, there are also 2 or 3 songs where I have the feeling you really tell the people what to do. So,
which ones? Which song?
For example, Fake Paradise.
Yes.
It's a really, really great song, and for me it's really something. So
thank you.
I love music.
Yeah, it was created with a lot of love. You know, I met my partner Sahida just before I started recording the album, because we met in December. And after 3 months together, we realized, I was like, okay, let's have babies, like straight away. So we figured it out, because she's the one. But like, I met her, and then after like a month or a month and a half of meeting her, I was like, I'm about to record an album. Do you want to come and live with me and kind of help me just live my life? Because I'm going to be spending so many hours. And then when I'm done, I can help you, because she's an amazing poet, and she's also does amazing music. Yeah, and so I'm like, and I'll record you some stuff. And she's like, okay. So she came into my life, and she moved into my house like after like a month and a half. And she was looking after us all and cooking us dinner and just being amazing. An amazing wife already straight away. And so there was so much love and so much good vibrations while we were recording it, and just happened so quickly.
So I have a feeling to hear this. I want to feel it. Something like that. I don't know, are you in a hurry for the sound check?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't think they haven't come for me yet.
Okay.
When they come. Ben, do you want to do a little beatbox jam?
Yeah, if you want.
We should do it standing up, just these.
Yeah,